What's good? It's your boy, Mr. Power Universe, and I'm back with episode 2 of the Mr. Power Universe podcast. Look, man, the response that I got from episode 1 was absolutely great. A lot of you guys loved it. Shout out to my guy, Power is Fire, for being my first guest. I know like a lot of y'all was giving him some heat, for some of the stuff that he was saying in that first episode. But look, he did his thing, you know what I'm saying? He ain't better than me though, you know what I'm saying? He don't know more than your boy, Mr. Power Universe. And, but he did his thing and it was a great episode. I appreciate everyone for tapping in. So, just based off the response, I was like, yo, I need to get back to work and get ready to shoot episode 2. I was gonna wait a week, but I was like, why do I do that? Why? Let's get to work right now. I want you guys to understand something about this podcast and kind of why I'm doing this. A lot of people are like, oh, you need to get this person, you need to get this guest. Let me remind y'all, I am Mr. Power Universe, right? At the end of the day, y'all tuning in to see me, right? And a lot of you guys see my content on TikTok in short form, but I don't really get to break things down and really speak my mind the way I want to because TikTok is more of a short form content type of thing, right? It's not really meant for the long form type of content like YouTube is, right? So on here, it's going to give me an opportunity to recap episodes, to recap thoughts, like pretty much whenever I want to just go on a soliloquy or a rant. I just shoot the podcast and I put it out for y'all, right? I got this nice little setting in the back, but look, we have a lot to discuss. There's a lot of things I kind of want to get into, talk about part 2, talk about the future of the universe. So let's get right into it, right? Let's talk about part 1 first. A lot of you guys were very, very upset with the outcome of our part 1, right? A lot of you guys said that it was slow. A lot of you guys said that you felt like it was rushed. So let's kind of get into what happened in part 1 and recap it, right? So obviously season 4 picked up right after season 3, right? The events of season 3 where obviously Tariq got shot at. He got set up by Tariq. He got set up by Effie and all of them, right? And was pretty much in a position where he was going to get clapped. But your boy Braden came in and he saved him, right? He saved his fucking life. And shout out Obi too, because your boy Obi did, save him as well. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, right? So, Tariq found himself in a position where his back was against the wall, right? And coming into episode 1, if everyone says that episode 1 was probably the best episode, I agree. Action packed, a lot going on, Becca getting kidnapped, so much going on. And then after episode 1, it kind of just seemed like things took a turn downhill, right? The episodes weren't as explosive as we expected, right? It's the final season. We just expected so much more. But I want you guys to understand, right? I want you guys to understand part 2 is going to be way more dark, way more dangerous, way more visceral, way more dramatic. Things are going to go down, right? So obviously, one of the big stories of part 1 was Tariq and his baby, right? Tariq and Diana, they have a baby together. I mean, things are getting hectic, right? And I want people to understand something about this baby. Let me clear some things up. The baby is Tariq's. The baby is not Salim. Salim is fucking dead. He is not the father. I don't know why so many of you guys are still trying to say that he's alive and he's the real dad. Salim is not the father. Tariq is the father. They've already confirmed it numerous times. Diana, played by Latoya Tenedo, already confirmed in an interview that Tariq is the baby daddy. It's not Salim. So cut all that shit out. Stop asking me that in the comments, lies, DMs. Salim is not the dad, and he's dead, right? I know y'all gonna say, well, we ain't seen his body yet. It don't matter. Like, the dude's dead. We've seen him get shot in the chest, right? It's over with. He ain't unique, right? So, pretty much with this whole Diana storyline, right? The last time we obviously seen the season finale, Diana doesn't want her kid to be involved in the game, right? She doesn't want to be in the game. She wants to take care of her kid, right? Well, we both know that that's not going to be realistic. And we know that just off the trailer, right? Diana's going to be in some violent situations. She's going to be getting deeper into the game, right? And so is Tariq. So how does that fare for the kid? I've been saying for a minute, I just don't see this baby surviving. I just don't see it happening. I don't see them having a good ending for this kid. I don't see a future for this kid. And quite frankly, I don't see a future for Tariq and Diana. I don't see it happening because let's be real. Does Tariq really deserve to have a baby? Does Diana really deserve to have a baby? Do they deserve that? I don't think so. Right? I don't think so. I don't think that really makes sense. And we know in Power there are no happy endings. Obviously, I don't see Tariq dying. Diana, who knows? But I just don't see the writers allowing Tariq to just ride off in the sunset and have a baby and have a build a whole family with Diana. We know how Power works, right? So, pretty much Tariq made a pitch to Diana like, yo, I need to be at the top of the game. I can be better than my dad and I can protect us. Right. And Diana's like, well, that ain't gonna work for me, Tariq. Like, I don't want my kid anywhere near that life. I don't want my kid to even experience that shit because I've lost too much of the game, right? We know that she's lost Lorenzo. I mean, she's lost Zeke. I mean, she's lost a lot. Diana's been through a lot. The whole Tejada family has been through a lot. And, it's already difficult enough that her two brothers are in the game. Her mom is in the game. She's grown up in the game. She knows the consequences. She knows how this shit ends, right? So, one of my early predictions was that Diana would die. I changed my mind. I feel like she will survive, but I feel like the consequences will be her child, right? I feel like she will lose the baby, and who I don't know how it's going to happen, right? There's so many different storylines. There's so much going on in this show right now that I feel like there's going to be a lot of loose ends that just don't get tied up, right? But I just feel like Diana's going to lose that baby, right? And I feel like that's one of the reasons why we see Tariq crying in the trailer. It seems like he's in the hospital and he's holding someone's hand. It could be Tasha's, it could be Diana's. I feel like it's Diana, and I feel like he's going to lose that baby. And I just don't see that baby making it, right? I feel like tragedy is going to strike, and he's going to lose a lot. And for whatever reason that this baby gets taken out, I think it'll bring Tariq and the Tejadas even closer, right? We know, we still have another threat. Your boy Don Carter. Everyone keeps talking about Noma and how they need to take out Noma. Don Carter is the real threat. Don Carter is the real problem. Does no one understand this? He is the most dangerous Fed we've ever seen in power. He has a whole task force that's dirty along with him, which means they have his best interests at heart at all moments, right? That makes him way more powerful than maybe a Sachs or, any of the Feds, the Ray Ray, Jukebox that we've seen in the past. He has a whole team that has his best interests at heart and wants to bring out his plan. You know what I mean? And we've seen in the, part one how Don Carter pretty much got the Tejadas by the balls. You know what I mean? He's also been fucking with Tariq and trying to get closing on him, but he ain't really been able to touch Tariq like that. You know what I mean? He's threatened Tasha and getting her out of witness protection, which could possibly happen in part two, which would be why we see her again, right? But the Tejadas are really the ones who are going to suffer, and I feel like the Don Carter's relationship with Drew is probably was going to have him end up getting locked up. Right, we know that Don Carter doesn't want civilians getting hurt. So why else could Drew get arrested? Obviously, he must have killed a civilian or been involved in something dangerous to the point where he gets locked up, right? And maybe Monet was also involved in that too. So there's a lot going on in that storyline with Drew, with Monet, with Don Carter and his task force. That's something that we really need to look out for, right? Because I don't see Don Carter making it out of this season. He has too many enemies. He's the problem for Noma. He's a problem for Zion. He's a problem for everybody because he doesn't like drug dealers. He doesn't like criminals. He wants them all exterminated, right? But he knows he can't do that, so he would rather have them all under his thumb and make money off of them and just extort them in any which way possible. Which is cool at first, but we know in this game that shit ain't gonna last. When you have someone who's this much of a threat and is causing this much of a problem for everybody, how long you think it's gonna be? Let's be real. How long you think? Hey, I love my guy Malcolm Ely. He's a goat. He's a legend. But let's be real. Do we really think he's gonna make it out? Do we really think he's going to last much longer? I could see him dying in the season finale, right? So we know Don Carter's probably going to be out of here unless they decide to keep him for a potential spinoff, right? Then obviously we have this whole Kane and Noma storyline, and I kind of touched on this a little bit in one of my TikTok videos and how this is one of the most important storylines I feel like we should be watching in part two, right? Because one thing I feel like you guys didn't really realize is at the end of episode 5, towards the end of episode 5, Drew and Monet robbed Kane and Noma. That was their drugs that they robbed, right? And I feel like this is going to bring back the Kane versus Drew storyline, and potentially we see a second battle between them. I kind of said this the first time we seen Kane versus Drew. It wasn't really Kane versus Drew. It was really just Kane is chasing Drew around the whole fucking city, finding him, finding an excuse to let him go, and then chasing him again. This time, when he finds out that potentially Kane finds out that Monet and Drew robbed him, what you think? What you think Noma gonna say? Noma's probably gonna be like, "Yo, you need to go take out your mom, or you need to go take out Drew." She's gonna give the order, and because Kane is the mama's boy we know him to be, he's probably going to act on that, right? He's going to go make a move. So that's a very important storyline that we need to touch on, right? He robbed his brother and Noma, who they're not working together no more. They're on separate sides, they're on separate teams. We know Kane kicked Drew out the house. They're pretty much enemies now. So there's a lot that could happen with that storyline. Effie. I don't know what the hell's going on, y'all. I mean, when we talk about Effie, one of the most misused, fumbled characters we have in the history of the Power Universe, she's been in the show this whole time, but it doesn't really feel like she's been in it. I mean, she hasn't had played much of a role. We've seen a little bit of her storyline with the Russians. I feel like that's probably something that they could build on in part two. I seen an interview with Alex Lepre, who plays Effie. She pretty much spoke on how, we could potentially see more of her storyline this season, potentially see her mother and things of that nature. We ain't seen that shit yet, right? But I'm hoping that that's something we see later. And a lot of y'all are trying to say that, oh, Effie's going to try to kill Diana because she's mad that she's pregnant by Tariq. Why the fuck would Effie give a shit? Okay, yeah, she might be salty for a minute because she wanted Tariq and she wanted to have a future with Tariq. But if anything, she dodged a fucking bullet. Effie's in the game. I don't think she wants to have a baby. I don't think she's going to envy Diana's situation. Diana's in a very dire situation right now, right? She's in a situation where she's in a lot of danger. She's compromised because of her child, and she's living a very dangerous life. So I don't see why Effie would make a move on Diana, which would start a war with the Tahadas and Tariq. She's not stupid. And we know that Effie's goal is to pretty much get out the game and get into robotics school and everything like that. So that's a very important storyline for Effie. I see her just trying to move away from the game as much as possible. But like we know in Power, right? You can't get out the game. The more that you try to get out that shit, the more that you get stuck in. We've seen it with Ghost. He tried to do it for 6 fucking seasons. And the minute he finally got out, the minute that he was on the pinnacle of getting away from the game, gone. Just like that. That's how it goes. I want you guys to understand something in Power. When it seems like things are going too well for a specific character, when things are going too well, when they're at their highest moment, when they're on top, that's when you should be the most worried. That's when you should be the most concerned. And I said it with the whole Go Season 6 thing, the whole nothing can stop me and just talking crazy to everybody. They was building it up to take him down. And if you couldn't see that, I don't know how you can call yourself a Power fan, right? So you got to pay attention to these small, intricate, minute details. A lot of times they foreshadow a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? They've been foreshadowing a lot of stuff with Monet and kind of giving her origin backstory. Why would they be giving us her origin backstory? Are they trying to make us feel bad for her? Or are they trying to expose how bad she really was so they can validate killing her off later? Who knows? I kind of see it more as a Monet going to jail and getting locked up. I feel like it would be smarter for her to get locked up so we could potentially see her in another spinoff, if she gets out or even if she stays in jail, because I feel like jail is a storyline that Power just hasn't used as much as they should. I feel like when a character is in jail, it makes things even more interesting. Kind of when you go back to Ghost Season 1, when Tasha was kind of locked up the majority of the time, right? She was calling Tariq, helping him with the game, kind of giving him advice and pointers and things on what he should do. I feel like that's a storyline that they need to lean into, right? We're going to see a little bit more of that with Drew getting locked up in part 2 and kind of how he deals with being in jail. And a lot of people think that, Drew's going to get taken out. And I thought so too, but now I'm not sure. Because, as you guys kind of seen with the first episode that we did of the podcast with Power at Fire, he was pretty much saying, like, they've been moving away from the whole fruity Drew gay storyline, right? They've been moving closer toward him being a man and him being a gangster, and they've been really embodying that. And I feel like Drew, played by Lavelle Adams Gray, has done a great job. It's made his character a lot more tolerable. It's made it easier for us to watch him, right? So I feel like he could potentially survive too. And a lot of people just think that just everyone's gonna get murked. There's only 5 episodes left. You know what I mean? And just from a lot of the buzz and stuff that we heard from, before the season started, most of these actors are claiming that they didn't know that this was going to be the final season. So if the actors are saying they didn't know it was going to be the final season, that means most of them probably lived with the expectation that they would be in a season 5, right? So, that just tells us like, okay, yeah, we'll probably get like one, maybe two major character deaths, if that. But I feel like a lot of the people that are going to be dying in part 2 are going to be insignificant characters. I could see Pinky getting taken out. I could see Zion getting taken out. I could see potentially, Lorenz Tate's brother, Fathead Tate, Megamind, getting taken out, right? Because and that's one thing I want to kind of get into too. He's a very smart character, right? And I said this before in one of my TikToks. They didn't just bring his character back for no reason. When they bring characters back in Power that haven't been around in a minute, it's usually not for a good reason. Y'all remember he was in season 1 or season 2? I think it was season 2 when they were investigating the whole Stansfield campus and when Tariq at first got arrested. And he was actually the one who arrested Tariq, for the murder of Ramirez and some other guy. Was it Detective Reynolds, right? Obviously a double murder. Obviously Tariq was acquitted, right? So the fact that they brought him back after 2 seasons and then we're not seeing Rashad Tate, it clearly shows that something is going to happen with his brother, right? Something's going to happen with his brother, which is essentially going to force Tate to come back into the picture. And my guess is that he's going to close in on Don Carter, because you see how Don Carter's pretty much been keeping him at arm's length, right? He hasn't been trying to give him any information on his task force or, kind of the moves that they're making. Why? Because he's fucking dirty. And we kind of learned that in episode 5, right? And, knowing Lorenz Tate's brother, Kamal not stupid. He's going to do some investigating of his own. He's going to get deeper and closer into what they're doing. He's going to find out. And, like an idiot, like Junior, he's going to want to be the hero and save the day. And we saw what happened to Junior, right? we saw what happened to Junior, right? I think after my hat, Angela Valdez. Oh, you took after your aunt, all right. And Rashad Tate might take after Angela and Junior, too. So that's a storyline that we really need to keep track of. A lot of people have been asking me kind of my predictions on just how I see the show ending in and how I think the show's end will kind of turn into the next chapter. Like I said, I don't think Tariq is going to die. I feel like it would be so stupid to take such a young character and just waste him, right? And we know that they've been building up Tariq's character because they killed off Ghost, right? Does it really make sense to kill Ghost and then kill off the person who's taken the mantle when, Tariq hasn't even had enough time to really build up to be on Ghost level. He's far from being on Ghost level. He's not even close, and I feel like the writers haven't done a great job of really building up Tariq's character in Power Book 2, but it's not also their fault. We're only getting 4 seasons, right? So that's one thing that we need to keep in mind. Tariq's character is very young. Like a lot of people were saying, they could potentially come back later and do another spinoff with him in the future down the road if they really want to. Depending on how things go with stars and everything like that. So there's so much they can do, right? There's so much they can do, and we just gotta wait and see what they choose to do, right? We gotta wait and see what they choose to do and how they choose to play things, and just depending on what Michael Rainey wants to do as well. I know he's filming a movie right now with Chloe Bailey. We know how movies take 8-9 months to film, post production, and everything. So it's unlikely that he's going to be involved with anything power related right now. Now, could I see him being like doing little cameos and shit like that? For sure. But again, we don't know what the future of the franchise is in terms of the present day. We know that obviously we still have Raising Kanan and we still have Origins coming, right? So they're taking more of a prequel route with the universe. And we know obviously we have another season of Force, right? So that should be coming in probably late 2020, early 2025, if not mid 2025. I'm assuming that we're going to get Raising Kanan first, because Raising Kanan finished filming like what, back in July, June, and I mean I'm pretty sure they've done with post production by now, if not close to done. So I would say expect Raising Kanan first, and then Force. And pretty much with the fact that Ghost is ending, they don't really have to keep an order. Like they could drop Force first, or they could drop Raising Kanan first. It really doesn't matter because it's 2 different timelines, right? They don't really interfere with the schedules that they want to get the dropping on. The main thing I want you guys to really understand and really focus on is, right, just pay attention to the storylines that happen in part 2, especially when we see episode 6. I feel like they're going to foreshadow a lot of different storylines for every character and what is going to be the future for them. And I feel like episode 6 is going to come out swinging, right? I feel like it's going to be action packed, just like episode 1 is, considering that we've been on a 2-month fucking hiatus. They're going to have to give us something, right? They're going to have to give us a real show. So be ready for that. I really appreciate you guys for tapping in, for supporting this podcast. It's crazy that I'm even doing a podcast now. Like, I didn't really expect to even do something like this, and I didn't think that I would get the response that I've gotten from it. So I'm really happy. Really proud of doing this. And you guys keep letting me know in the comments, DMing me, messages, whatever. Let me know what you guys want me to speak on. You know, let me know what guests you might want to see me get as far as like other creators, other TikTok, YouTubers, whatever that I should try to reach out to. And just let me know what kind of topics you want to get to, right? I also plan on doing these podcasts and recapping the actual episodes on here. Obviously, I'll still do my little short recaps on TikTok, but the long form content will be on here after the episodes drop, usually on like Fridays. I'll probably, if not the next day, Saturday or that night, I'll drop a podcast kind of recapping everything. And make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe. Keep supporting your boy, Mr. Power Universe. We are on a roll. We are on a fucking mission to be the biggest power content creator on the planet, right? We just hit 70,000 on TikTok. Shout out to all you guys. So appreciate you guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support your